Habesha men that are interested in dating Americans or Americanized Habesha women. This video is for you. It's also for anyone that wants to get in the mind of what Americanized Habesha women think about Habesha men. Kind of like a little warning for Habesha men.
Lila, let's talk.
So this is my take on my personal experiences, my general observations, things that me and my friends have all somewhat experienced at one point or another. I was actually only planning to do one dating Habesha video, and I guess I have a lot to say. This is gonna be my third one, and just my take. It's not for every single person. I always need to caveat that. Without further ado, let's get into dating Habesha men. And when I say Habesha men, I'm talking about the ones that were born or raised back home the majority of their life. So let's get into it.
Lila, let's talk.
The way they spit game, they spit game a little bit different. Men tend to be extremely overly complimentary, right? So Ethiopian men to say, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing, I see you in my dreams, and you're the angel that came from the sky because God loved me so much, he gave me you. And they drop the L word a lot, like, oh, I love you. And you're just like, oh, you love me? You don't know me? You don't mean love. No, I love you. I know what it means. I love you. I know my accent's horrible, but they just mean they like you, I care for you, but there may not be a word that's easily transferable, so they say the word love, so that can happen. It could just be that that's the way of kind of demonstrating their level of interest in you, but I like compliments. But because what happens is, when it's so much, and this has actually happened to me, I perceived it as not being authentic. And it was just a cultural difference, but I felt like, well, you're saying and doing too much. Like, let me get to know you. Let me see where this goes. And if you're not used to it, you're just like, oh, okay, So I'm not trying to deter men to express their feelings for women, but just keep in mind that if it's just the first week or you just went on like one or two dates and you're professing your love, that's gonna be a little sketch. So just be careful of your words, and really, like, my advice to all men, talk is cheap, show through your actions. Action speaks louder than words. And it's funny because I just talked about how they're overly expressive when it comes to compliments and how much they feel about you. That does not really translate when it comes to being more expressive and communicating their feelings when it comes, I think, to more substantial things like issues arise in the relationship, or if they have concerns or their feelings are unhappy, and being able to do it in a really effective way. But I think most Habesha men just don't talk about it, and they might act out in different ways versus communicating and being more upfront about it. Ethiopian men, and traditionally when they're dating Ethiopian women as well, they tend to hang out with their friends a lot. Like, you might think, oh yeah, Americans, they have a couple and they're like, okay, you got boys' nights, like once a night, once a week. Habesha people back home take it to a whole other level. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm calling you out, guys. They're always like with each other all the time, kicking it with their boys, either at your house or going out to like a lounge or a hookah spot or a bar and just hanging out. And sometimes they expect their girls to be with them too, or sometimes they just want to be with the fellas. So for all you Habesha men out there who recently have come to this country and you're like, oh, I want to get to know my people, like I want to get to know the women who are here, who might have been raised here, you might want to listen to this part. I took a little mini survey with my other girls regarding being Americanized, but anyways, kind of like a little warning for Habesha men. Two things that kind of stick out that I've noticed some Habesha men do, and it actually hurts you, makes you look bad. Just FYI, if you're trying to win, I'm trying to help you win, listen to this. How can I say this? Shaming us for not being Habesha enough, for not knowing the language. And they're like, you're Habesha, you should do this, you need to do this, you need to do that, you're not Ethiopian, you're not Eritrean if you don't. It's like, no, not really. You can't really define my identity that way. Two is shaming us for dating people who are not Habesha. Yeah, it does happen, and not anyone that I interact with. None of my friends are like that. This kind of snickering, little side comments about, oh yeah, that person only dates, such and such guys. Oh yeah, that they're this and that. And you know what? You sound like a hater. You sound like you're so jealous that you gotta spit some evil venom out there because people don't want you. I'm sorry, because that's a huge turnoff and nobody's really trying to hear that. This is 2020, and that's a very kind of archaic old thinking. And I really want to push and bring all people forward to be more enlightened and being more positive and more aware and more educated about that divisiveness rhetoric, because I think most women who have been born and raised here aren't trying to hear it, and it just makes you look bad. So don't do that. But I definitely want to talk about some of the things that were really awesome, you know, dating Habesha men. It's nice to have someone who's from the same culture as you, who can kind of bring you into that culture even more, deeper into your identity of who you are. And, you know, if you ever have kids, let's say if you don't speak Amharic or Tigrinya and they do, that's pretty dope that your kids can speak relatively easily if, you know, grandma, whoever isn't in town, you have someone in the household who can kind of pass down our mother tongue. So I think that's pretty cool. Or if you're American, and you can learn something new. You can learn something about a culture that you're like, wow, this is really dope. Like, I really like how connected they are with their family, or how they are so respectful of their elders. That's one of the things that I really like about Habesha men, is just the level of respect they have for their elders and for their family. And I find that very, you know, attractive. In regards to family dynamic, you would think, oh yeah, two families that are Habesha, that's even better. I don't know. I've actually seen it go different ways. I've seen Habesha families, because they're so involved in their child's life, it kind of creates a lot of friction. But I've also saw the disconnect of cultural differences when there's a Habesha, non-Habesha person. So family dynamic, I don't know. I think it's a coin toss, but in general, I think finding the best match for someone is looking at that person, not necessarily their race, their ethnicity, where they were born, but who they are as a person, their values, their hobbies, their interests, how they make you feel, how you make them feel. Those are kind of a very mature way of looking at dating and hopefully looking for a long-term partner. And I think a lot of times we're so conscious about what others think that it clouds our judgment and what we want. But I think when we clear all that away and we just look at the person, that's when you can really find, you know, love and happiness. So those are my tidbits. Hope you liked it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. That's it. So if you want to hear more about this topic, let me know. You know, add it to your comments. Keep me honest. Until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, I like to give a lot of love, because, you know, there's a lot of hate out here, and we need to bring some positivity to balance the world in general.